Here we are again with another Survivor Durant archive video. Number 5, Mystery Island. This is by far the longest game in all of Survivor Durant, so let's dive right in. This game was made by myself, Survivor Durant alumni Briar, and Season 4 winner Mason. I can't wait to go more in depth behind the mind and explain to you just how this game was created. A lot went into it, and we knew that we wanted to push the boundaries with this game. For one thing, we wanted 18 contestants. Could we do it? Is it possible? And historically in Survivor Durant, our games are 1 day long. 18 players in 1 day? That's ridiculous. This game was also very much inspired by Greek mythology. Mason, Briar, and myself all love Greek mythology, so we had a ton of ideas. This game seen the introduction of fire tokens, the return of Pandora's box, and the premiere of Mystery Island. And I know what you're thinking. What is Mystery Island? And that's the whole point. It's a mystery. But unlike the contestants, I'm not going to keep you waiting. Mystery Island was inspired by the 5 main themed islands from the Survivor television show. Those islands being Extinction Island, Exile Island, Redemption, Ghost Island, and Island of the Idols. Each time that a contestant would go to Mystery Island, it would morph into a new one, meaning it would change round by round. So the players never actually knew which island that they would be visiting. And of course, it was predetermined before the game began, the order that the islands would appear in. What we were really hoping for was that someone would go and visit Mystery Island and get a certain experience with it, go back and tell everyone about it, and then the next person would go to Mystery Island and get something totally different. This could cause distrust real quick. Now, just like Season 4, Mystery Island had no advantage hidden in the city, and just like its predecessor, this game took place on the front lawn of our local college campus. And before we knew it, it was time to play the game. May 2020, we needed 18 contestants, and of course, the day of the game, several people dropped out, and somehow we managed to find replacements for all of them. A little too many, because this game actually has 19 contestants. This little interesting fact is something that I've kept very hidden for a long time. We got a lot to go over, so without further ado, let's start with our 3 tribes. First, always in yellow, the Apollo tribe. It features the returning Anthony of Season 2, a new player named Brand. Jacob's girlfriend Miranda is on this tribe. I guess she can be an honorary Quack Pack member. A new player named Ronnie is on this tribe, as well as a new player named Ethan, and Briar's girlfriend Harley is on the tribe. They're married now, with a child. Always in pink, we have the Athena tribe, with the returning Quack Pack member Matt, and the returning Nate. How will he play without Mason in the game? A new player named Peyton is on this tribe, as well as Ethan's sister, Abby. We also have a new player named Cass, and she's real good friends with Autumn. And Mason's girlfriend, Maeleesa, is on this tribe. They're married now. No kids. And finally, we have the Aries tribe, always in camo. First, we have the returning Autumn. She's ready for some vengeance, having broken out of Pandora's box. And as already stated, her best friend Cass is on the pink tribe, Athena. We also have the returning Quack Pack leader, Jacob, as well as a new player named Madi, who is Mason's sister, and her best friend, Maeleesa, is in the game, also on the pink tribe. A new player named Dustin is in the game, as well as a new player named Cole, not to be confused with the first winner. And for a record-setting 4th time, you either love him or hate him, the return of Dylan. He's married now. No kids. But with 13 new players in this game, will Dylan be able to find his suckers and mob boss his way deep into the game again? Now I know what you're thinking. That's just 18. And you're right. Our 19th contestant was going to be the returning Jimmy. He wanted to come out and play but was running late. And when he got to the scene, he decided not to play and let his girlfriend Courtney have a chance. So she'll enter the game a few rounds later. These 3 starting tribes did not have a ton of social dynamics, so they were shuffled pretty well. However, there are a ton of relationships throughout the tribes. For instance, Autumn, Cass, Cole, and Brand all work together. And then, of course, the Quack Pack knows each other. Dylan and Nate were at odds whenever they played together, so things could get spread about that. And Nate sort of has a new posse now. He's really good friends with Ronnie, as well as Dustin. As previously stated, Madi and Maeleesa are best friends, and Peyton knows them both very well also. All this with a pair of siblings in the game makes for a great season. Let's see what happens. Can the underdog finally overcome? You know, I throw a lot of jokes at the Quack Pack, and it's probably because they're a bit socially awkward, and it's so important to be socially aware in the game of Survivor. But if you think about it, these social outcasts are the perfect people to keep in the game longer, and to get rid of the veterans, the people that know what they're doing, or the people that have the most connections. I remember speaking to Jacob before the game began. He's also a huge fan of Greek mythology, and he said that this was right up his alley. He's ready to just dominate the game. Who would have thought? The sequel that no one's seen coming. Quack Pack 2. Dreams finally come true. And they did. For everyone else. Unfortunately, Miranda, Jacob, and Matt were the first 3 people voted out of the game. But a twist! You see, there's a little light at the end of the tunnel for the Quack Pack. Should anyone be voted out in the game with a fire token on him, they could give it to Charon, the fairy of the underworld, and he would take them to Mystery Island. And in this case, it would be transformed into Extinction Island. When they got to Extinction Island, Charon, aka Briar, would read them a little story. This story is super important in the battle to get back into the game. And if you find more fire tokens during your stay on Extinction Island, you'll be able to rehear the story again. But after about 15 minutes of waiting around, the Quack Pack had enough, and they were heading back to the pond. Not a lot happened socially the first few rounds of the game. First, Ronnie and Brand were filling each other out, and they were getting along. It looked like they were going to make great allies for the game. Ronnie also managed to open up the lockbox on the Apollo tribe, and got the first Pandora's box piece, Pan B. While on the Ares tribe, Dustin and Autumn had formed an alliance, and together found the hidden immunity idol kept in Dustin's possession. Also on the Ares tribe, Dylan unlocked the lockbox and got the second Pandora's box piece, Do-O. And finally, on the Athena tribe, Peyton was approached by Nate to make a deal with him, and Peyton agreed under the condition that his friend Maeleesa could join as well. Abby also visited Mystery Island, which turned into Extinction Island. While on Extinction Island, she found a clue to the hidden immunity idol back at her camp. And when Abby got back to the Athena camp, she did indeed find the hidden immunity idol and told everyone about it. Big yikes. Big yikes. Now you'll note that Matt was the most recent person to be voted out, and he was on the Athena tribe. Now Matt did what Matt does best, and he unlocked that lockbox, and he got that Pandora's box piece, and then he got his ass voted out. So he must will it to someone that's still in the game, and he gave it to his old trusty pal, Nate. So Nate has the third Pandora's box piece, Roz X. We're down to our top 15 players, and the contestants have already endured several grueling challenges, including a gauntlet, a sponge relay race, and a plate endurance challenge. And now we're throwing in another curveball. Jimmy and his girlfriend Courtney have just arrived to play, and I told them there's only room for one, so Jimmy bows out and lets Courtney go on his behalf. And now, with top 16 players in the game, it's time for, you guessed it, a swap. Swapping into 2 tribes of 8. First, on the new Athena tribe, we have Harley, Abby, her brother Ethan, Dylan, Brand, Autumn, her best friend Cass, and Maeleesa. And on the new Apollo tribe, we have Cole, Anthony, Madi, her good friend Peyton, a part of the Boys Alliance, as well as the rest of the Boys Alliance, Dustin, Ronnie, and Nate, as well as newcomer Courtney. And it's time for a massive immunity challenge. Steal the bacon. The teams will select members of their tribe to represent each round. The object of the game is to get the ball that's in the middle of the field across your tribe line to score a point. The first to 5 points wins immunity. It's a very physical contest, and this was without a doubt, by far, very easily, the most physical game we've ever had in all of Survivor Durant. While Team Apollo might have a lot of athletic young men on its tribe, it was Athena that pulled out the victory. But it wasn't without a heavy loss for both sides. In the middle of the contest, Harley and Cole collided with each other, taking out Cole's knee and leaving Harley's head reeling. Both had to be medically evacuated from the game. And for time's sake, the game had to continue, so Apollo was still going to tribal council. At Apollo's camp, the 4 boys, Nate, Ronnie, Dustin, and Peyton, made the ultimate decision of how everything was going to go. Peyton was still very close to Madi, and Ronnie would tell Peyton what to say to Madi to keep her in line, and Ronnie got those words from Nate. So it was a chain of information starting from the top of the pyramid, Nate. While Courtney was new to the game, she was welcomed into the Apollo camp with open arms. This left Anthony on the outs, and to be fair, he didn't do or say much to state his case. So at tribal council, it was a unanimous decision to get the introvert out. So Anthony would head to Mystery Island should he have a fire token on him. But unfortunately, he did not. So it was time to take the long drive home. It's also worth mentioning that Madi was randomly chosen to visit Mystery Island, and she got to visit it before the immunity challenge began. While on Mystery Island, it morphed into Island of the Idols, where Mason and I had a little test for her about personal strength and perseverance. While on Island of the Idols, she got to bet on which tribe she thought would win immunity. If she won, she got an extra vote, but if she were wrong, she would lose her vote at the next tribal council. She bet on her team, Team Apollo, and she was wrong. So while Anthony did go home with a unanimous decision, Madi didn't get to cast a vote. But we're still not done with players having to leave the game. As tribal council was finishing, Brand approached me and let me know that his mother had called him and he had to leave the game immediately. Brand also let me know that he found a little something while he was on Athena. And Peyton had overheard this. And Brand said, why not a little trade? So Peyton traded a granola bar for what was a fake immunity idol. And now we're down to 12. So it's time for yet again another swap. But before we get to the next swap, I do want to stress how tiring this game was for everyone. That granola bar that Peyton had traded Brand wasn't given to Peyton, it was earned. Everything was earned during this day. There were so many extra challenges just for rewards, like a 3-legged ping pong ball race and an Olympic-styled baton pass gauntlet. It's safe to say that Mason, Briar, and myself planned a little too much for this game. And if it weren't for players having to leave unexpectedly, this game would have gone way too long. Alright, without further ado, the top 12 swap time is here. We're swapping back into 3 tribes. First, on the new Athena tribe, we have Dylan, Nate, Dustin, and Ronnie. Whew, a tribe of all guys. That ain't fair. Then, on the new Aries tribe, we have Abby, Maeleesa, Cass, and Courtney. A tribe of all ladies. Things definitely are going to get warlike. And finally, on the new Apollo tribe, we have Ethan, Madi, Peyton, and Autumn. Now, it's time for the next immunity challenge, and this one is for individual immunity. One member of each tribe will win individual immunity. Then, all 3 tribes will go to tribal council. At each tribe camp, we conducted the individual immunity challenge. 2 players from each tribe will compete against each other in a tournament-style competition. The winner of each round will then face each other to determine who gets individual immunity. The game is shoulders, knees, and toes. They'll lean over a bag that's in between them, will call out a body part, and you have to touch it. But every once in a while, we'll call out bag, and instead of touching a body part, you must grab the bag that's in the middle to score a point. The first to 3 points moves on to the championship round, and the winner of the championship round gets immunity. The winning castaway from Athena tribe was Dustin. And on Ares, Maeleesa won immunity, while on Apollo, Ethan took home the victory. Once we finished the individual immunity challenges at each camp, we sent all the tribes to tribal council at the same time. Very quickly, tribal became live, and everyone was scrambling, trying to get the plan together. So, Nate called in his little henchmen, Ronnie and Dustin, and told them we can pin this on Abby. Let everyone know that she has an idol. Let's get her voted out. So, Ronnie went to the people he formed close connections with, Peyton, Madi, Maeleesa, and told them the plan to get out Abby. And Dustin did the same thing, going up to Autumn, Courtney, and Cass, filling them in that it's gonna be Abby. Do you see a pattern going on here? Nate calls the shots, tells the boys what he wants to happen, and then they go out to the people that they've formed relationships with and tell them who it's gonna be. It's all a giant conspiracy. While at tribal council, we dropped another bomb, that there would be 2 people being voted out at this tribal council, the 2 top vote getters. Then we instantly stopped all conversation, putting the players into a lockdown, and the voting began. 9 players decided to vote for Abby, while Abby and her brother Ethan both voted against Nate. And Nate, cleverly catching on to this double elimination twist, decided to throw his vote onto Courtney. The only question now is, will Abby play her hidden immunity idol? I remember asking if anyone would like to play an idol, and she was very hesitant, thought about it, and decided to save it for a rainy day. Well, that rainy day came instantly when Abby was immediately voted out of the game, and with 2 votes, Nate followed right behind. Luckily for both of them, they had a fire token and were ferried off to Mystery Island, aka Extinction Island. Let's just take a moment to appreciate that blindside against Abby. So hard to pull off, especially when 10 people are involved. And I know what you're thinking, man, if that were me, I would have seen it coming a mile away. Well, when everyone else is putting on the smiles in front of you, you never know when the joke's on you. And it wasn't as though Abby was this major threat to the game. It was that Nate needed her to be, and painted her as that target. Yes, she had an idol, but what else did she have? Clearly, no allies. Upon arriving to Extinction Island, Abby and Nate were read the story by Briar that is sequential to their return into the game. They were surprised to learn that no other former contestant was waiting for them on the island. So, this last challenge would be Abby versus Nate. The winner gets to return into the game. With the remaining contestants that are in the game, we announced a merge, and then told them to follow us to Extinction Island to witness the challenge. I don't believe that anyone was surprised that there was a battle back competition, but I think everyone was surprised that Abby and Nate were the only ones on Extinction Island to compete. Abby and Nate were asked questions about the story that they were told upon their arrival. If they gave an incorrect answer, they would give their opponent a point. In order to guess safely, they would have to run to a safety line and then back. This was going to be a very tiring challenge that relied on your memory. the first player to 5 points will re-enter the game. And that player was Nate. The numero uno player that had the strong arm of the game is right back in it. But is everyone else aware of it now? We also announced that the merged portion of the game will be finished at a different location, the local skate park. We gave everyone 30 minutes to arrive. But Ethan would not be joining us. You see, he was not even planned to play. He had work the next day, and he stayed as late as he possibly could. So he went on home with his sister. So there goes the only other person that was in the resistance against Nate's control. Currently, Dustin is the only player in the game with a hidden immunity idol, but that's about to change. You see, during the craziness of this merge transition, going from the local college campus to the local skate park, we opened up the floor completely and said anyone can go anywhere, and that there is an unfound hidden immunity idol back at the Apollo camp. So Dustin explored it and found it as well, giving Dustin 2 hidden immunity idols. When everyone had arrived to the skate park, it was a pizza merged feast. And of course, we had a little something hidden, something that Ronnie found. And it was a one-way ticket to Mystery Island. While everyone else was socializing, enjoying the pizza, and navigating the dynamics of the merge, Ronnie was sent to Mystery Island, which morphed into Exile Island. But his time in purgatory would not be in vain, because Ronnie was given a clue to the location of the merged hidden immunity idol. And when he had returned from exile, he immediately found it. And when Ronnie left, he missed all the great drama. Dylan started the he said, she said. Lots of rumors going around about people talking about each other, trying to get everyone to turn on each other. However, everyone was comparing notes, and there was one common denominator. Dylan was causing trouble. One person that Dylan really trusted in the game was Peyton, and they shared what each other had found. Peyton let Dylan know that he had an idol, and Dylan told him that he had a Pandora's box piece. So Peyton offered a little trade, and Dylan gladly accepted, not knowing that it was a fake idol. For the first individual immunity challenge, players would have to balance coins on the end of a ruler, and Maeleesa came out on top. Because everyone was falling victim to Dylan's crazy rumors being spread, it wasn't difficult for Nate and the boys to convince everyone to throw votes his way at Tribal Council. And Dylan obviously knew that this was coming, so he stood up to play his hidden idol. Not gonna repeat his mistakes in Season 2 and go home with one in his pocket. But his hopes were crushed when he found out that it was indeed a fake idol. With a unanimous vote against him, Dylan was sent packing. But he wasn't out completely just yet. He was sent to Mystery Island, which morphed into Redemption Island. And when Dylan arrived to Redemption Island, he was not alone. There waiting for him was Harley. She had returned from her head injury feeling better, and we decided to let her get a chance to return into the game by earning it. The top 9 immunity challenge was a physical one, and players were given the choice to opt out and take a trip to Mystery Island. Cass was the only one that decided to do that. Dustin ended up winning the squat challenge and won a spot in the top 8. Cass went on to Mystery Island, which morphed into Ghost Island. There, she won an advantage. The advantage gave her an extra vote. However, the extra vote had to be cast in front of everyone, so it would be public knowledge. Cass returned and shared this information with her 2 closest allies, Autumn and Dustin. And Dustin, then in return, shared that information with Nate and Ronnie. However, Nate seen Maeleesa as a big physical threat, having won an individual challenge twice already. So they concocted a plan to get rid of 2 birds with 1 stone. And there was one other reason why Nate really wanted Maeleesa out. You see, Maeleesa went up to the 2 people she trusted most, her best friend Madi and Peyton. She told them that the game needed to be flipped on this boys' alliance. Nate, Dustin, Ronnie, they were ruling the roost. They had to be overthrown. But Peyton was reluctant to flip and told Ronnie everything, who then told Nate everything. So Nate gave the order, and told his two generals, Dustin and Ronnie, to vote against Maeleesa, and to tell their little minions to do the same thing. So Dustin went up to Cass and Autumn, and Ronnie went up to Madi and Peyton. And Dustin threw in a little extra spice on top, and tricked Cass into thinking that in order to get out Maeleesa, she had to play her extra vote. And everything transpired as Nate had planned. Maeleesa went home, Cass lost her advantage, all was right in the world. Maeleesa might have been voted out, but she was sent to Redemption Island, where Dylan and Harley were waiting for her. The competition ensued, and Harley lost, sending her home. Dylan and Maeleesa were still there, waiting to get back into the game. The final 8 immunity challenge was a money bidding system, where you had 100 points, and you could bid any amount that you would like. If you bid more points than your opponent, you got a point. However, it takes 2 points to win. So, if you were to bid all 100 points right out the gate, you would have 0 for the second round, your opponent would take that point, and 0 for the third round, your opponent would take a second point, and you would lose. And the winner of this competition was Courtney. Not only that, but Courtney was randomly chosen to go to Mystery Island, which morphed into Ghost Island again. And while at Ghost Island, Courtney got a little advantage, kind of like a legacy advantage, that said should she be in the top 6, she'll have guaranteed immunity. However, unlike the legacy advantage, Courtney's advantage works differently. If she's voted out, she cannot will it to someone that is still in the game. Dustin told Autumn to get with Courtney when she comes back from Mystery Island to see if she got anything, and Autumn did. And Courtney just spilled like a bag of beans and told Autumn exactly what she had. Autumn then told Dustin, and then Dustin told Nate. Are you seeing a trend here? But with Courtney getting immunity, it was very obvious that someone was going to lose a minion. And who should we choose but whoever has the most connections? And that would be Autumn. Autumn already has Cass, and if Autumn is so close to Courtney for Courtney to tell her everything, then she has more connections than we think. So at Tribal Council, it was a blindside against Autumn. Everyone was in on it except for Cass. I find it interesting that Dustin is so willing to give up one of his numbers so quickly. That shows how devoted he was to Nate and Ronnie. Not only that, but Ronnie still got to keep his numbers, which Nate was more comfortable with. Once Autumn was voted out, she was sent to Redemption Island and played a memory game with Dylan and Maeleesa and lost. So we have Dylan and Maeleesa still on Redemption Island waiting for the chance to come back into the game. And that time was now. We were going to have the challenge to see who would get to return. And they were going to compete in this challenge against the remaining castaways. The challenge was simple. You'll hold a stick in your hand and balance a ball on top of it. If your ball falls, you're out. Whoever lasts longer between Maeleesa and Dylan will get to return into the game, and the last player standing will win immunity. Should Dylan or Maeleesa be the last player standing, they'll return into the game and return with immunity. And to complicate things a little bit more, once again at Tribal Council, the 2 highest vote getters would go home. So immunity is now more important than ever. And the winner of this grueling contest was Maeleesa, beating everybody and earning her way back into the game. Maeleesa coming back to the game was the worst thing that could have happened to Nate, because now Maeleesa was working on forming an all-girls alliance. She tried recruiting Courtney, Cass, and her best friend Madi to overthrow the hierarchy of the all-boys alliance. But to Madi, the all-boys alliance was just a conspiracy theory. She thought there's never in a million years that Ronnie and Peyton are gonna betray me. Not only that, but Nate was quick on the draw with pulling apart Courtney and Cass. He had Ronnie get into Courtney's ear and Dustin get into Cass's ear. Which is funny because Cass literally just witnessed Dustin betray them and vote out Autumn. And for some reason, she believed everything that he said. Now, Courtney and Cass were taking shots at each other, and Maeleesa was all alone. At Tribal Council, an invisible layer of complexity was added, allowing everyone to have 2 votes. Even still, with Courtney and Cass targeting each other, it sealed their fates, sending them home, making them a part of the jury with Autumn and Dylan. This worked out as a huge win for Nate, and it worked out for Ronnie too, leaving Dustin with no side alliances and getting rid of Courtney right before the final 6 when she would be able to play her advantage. In the final 6 immunity challenge, we headed to the basketball court of the park and played the Flip Cup game. The Flip Cup game is determined in 1-minute intervals, and players will have 1 minute to flip their cups bright side up. However, your opponents can knock your cups over. You'll have to go back and reflip your cup over. After the end of 1 minute, whoever has the most cups turned right side up will win. We ran this challenge in 3 heats. First, we had Madi versus Peyton, with Madi winning. Then Nate versus Dustin, with Dustin winning. And finally, Ronnie versus Maeleesa, where Ronnie took home the victory. In the final heat, we had the 3 winners, Dustin, Ronnie, and Madi. And the winner of this challenge was Madi. There was little to no conversation involved at all. This really sealed Maeleesa's fate. She had proven herself to be a huge challenge threat and was constantly going against Nate and his regime. At Tribal Council, it was all but certain, and Maeleesa was added to the jury. The Final 5 Immunity Challenge was a Big Brother OTEV style competition. There were 20 or so plates scattered throughout a field with different numbers written on them. Mason would ask a question, and players would have to search for the plate with the correct answer on it and return before everyone else. The player who returned last or the player with an incorrect answer would be eliminated, and then we would go again. This would keep happening until there are 2 players left and 1 person gets back first with the correct answer. And the winner of this challenge was Peyton. There are so many things that could happen in this Final 5 because Ronnie, Peyton, and Madi were working together directly throughout the entire game. And Ronnie, Dustin, and Nate were working together throughout the entire game as well. So Ronnie is right in the middle and will get to dictate the course of the rest of this game. However, the Boys Alliance has a better idea. At Tribal Council, all the votes were cast, and they didn't matter because Dustin came up and played his idol, giving him safety. Then Nate came up and played an idol, which he got from Dustin, and he got safety. So then Ronnie was forced to get up and play his idol as well, leaving all the Boys Alliance safe, forcing Madi to go home. This made Madi feel good because she was idled out of the game. She felt that she wasn't technically betrayed. But had we read the votes, they would have all been for her anyway. Well, the boys did it. They made it to the final 4. Nate, the brains of the operation. Dustin, the chaotic player that betrayed several people, didn't said whatever he needed to do to get a little bit further. Ronnie, the laid-back chill guy that no one had a problem with, that basically did whatever Nate said. And Peyton, the loyal lapdog that did whatever the boys said. He was promised Final 4, but he never once considered or thought about what would happen beyond that. The Final 4 Immunity Challenge and the final Immunity Challenge of the season was a difficult 5-piece puzzle that had to form a perfect square. And the winner of this was Dustin. It's too bad because Nate was reassuring Peyton the whole time that he would make Final 3 and that Dustin would go. That was never the truth, but Peyton believed it, so they had no choice but to go up to Peyton's face and say, "We have to vote you out." And Peyton was so loyal that he was okay with it. So Peyton was the next one added to the jury. And with Peyton being voted out, he had to will his Pandora's box piece to someone still in the game. And you would think that he would give it to the person that he was working most closely with, that being Ronnie. Peyton decides to give it to the brains of the operation, Nate. So now here we are, the final 3, Nate, Ronnie, Dustin. The power shifts to the Pandora's box pieces. Pandora's box worked a little bit differently than it did the first time in Season 4. The holders of the pieces were given a prisoner's dilemma. They could choose to play the Pandora's box game where they randomly flip over cups and hope that they have the pieces underneath. If they both say yes, then they will go and play that game. If they both say no, then the power of Pandora's box won't be used at all. And if one says yes and the other says no, then the person who says yes will just instantly get the power. Dustin has no say in the matter because he has no pieces. Nate and Ronnie both decided to play. So here's how the Pandora's box game will work. There will be 3 cups in front of Nate and Ronnie, turned upside down. Underneath one of the cups will be all 3 pieces of Pandora's box. Whoever flips over that cup with the pieces underneath will get the power of Pandora's box. Boy, this was deja vu for Nate. You see, in season 4, Nate also was competing against Mason for the power of Pandora's box, and Nate also had 2 pieces. Let's see what Nate decides to do differently. First, because Nate has 2 pieces, he gets to make the decision if he will pick or if Ronnie will pick. And, just like in season 4, Nate chooses to pick first. He lifts the first cup up and it's empty. At this point, Nate has the option to pick again or let Ronnie pick a cup. Just like in season 4, Nate chooses to pick again. And just like in season 4, Nate chooses incorrectly, giving Ronnie the power of Pandora's box. Nate was pissed, and you can't blame him. This is twice Pandora's box has eluded him. But now, the power was in Ronnie's hands. And what is the power exactly? Ronnie has the decision of keeping it a final 3 and voting out a jury member, someone who he really doesn't believe will vote for him to win. Or he can choose to make it a final 2 by adding Nate or Dustin to the jury. Ronnie got some alone time to really go over all of his options. He noticed that Dustin was looking kind of cocky and Nate was very beside himself. So ultimately, Ronnie decided to vote out somebody, and he voted out Dustin, making the final 2 a game of Nate versus Ronnie. I remember Ronnie saying that he made the wrong decision whenever Autumn, who was on the jury, made the opening statement addressed towards Nate and said, "Nate, we all know that you played one hell of a game." And that he did, whether it was because Ronnie just wanted to be loyal to Nate, or Nate was able to cover up his threat level by making Ronnie feel warm and fuzzy inside because they're so close friends. Ronnie never considered the type of player that Nate is to just dominate the game. Well, let's see where loyalty gets you. Ronnie was pitching his case as to why he should win, pointing out the connections that he made, the idols that he found, and the strategies that went along with it. But everything that Ronnie was able to throw out, Nate was able to overcome, and then some. It wasn't that Ronnie played a bad game, it was that Nate played that game and better. Nate was always at the top of the pyramid, and the information would always get back to him. He would make a decision, call a shot, and it would go right back down to the bottom, and his will, his objective, would always be carried out. We see Nate get voted out and then immediately return and instantly regained a death grip control of the entire game. Whenever there were threats that would bring up Nate's name or consider voting him out, he would call a shot and make an order to get that person immediately out. And his loyal posse followed without question. When it came down to the votes, Ronnie got Dylan's vote to win. Whether it was because Dylan was too prideful to admit that someone else had a dominated control over the game instead of him, or because Dylan just didn't like him, Dylan was not going to vote for Nate to win. But everybody else did. Peyton, Madi, Maeleesa, Cass, Courtney, Autumn, Dustin. Our first 4 winners were determined by just 1 vote. And in this case, it was a massive blowout. Without question, the champion of Mystery Island is Nate. Nate is that politician with the gift of gab. He knows what to say, how to say it, and who to say it to. And probably more importantly, when to say it. Nate's understanding of what Survivor is also what got him through. He knows the strategy, he knows the social dynamics, and what the game is, a numbers game. Nate definitely has my vote as most improved player so far. So remember, when you just can't say no because you want to be loyal, think about who it's really benefiting. Thank you so much for listening to Survivor Durant's 5th season, Mystery Island. I can't believe it. There's only 2 seasons left to archive. And these last 2 seasons really go hand in hand. They are each other's yin and yang. The first is a twist that allows the players to determine how it's going to be used. And the second, just the opposite. A twist that is out of the players' hands completely. December 2021, Season 6 Part 1, and Season 6 Part 2.